So today I am working on the Cassidy foam sling. Today I am working on the Cassidy foam sling that just recently came out from Quilted Cow. I have all the stuff I need, the hardware, my faux leather cut out, everything already cut out, and my fusible fleece on there. I also cut out the strap for the foam sling, and I have my 2 zippers. So we'll get started. So first thing you are going to do is you're going to cut out everything as it says to do in your instructions, okay? So I've gotten everything cut out, everything's already done. We're going to fold these pieces like it says to do in the instructions. So I'm going to fold these. And then I'm going to fold it again into itself like so. Alright, so once that is done, you are going to take your zipper, you are going to cut off and make this a flat edge. Okay, we'll do that real quick. And now you're going to take your 2 folded pieces that you have, okay? The first one, you're going to fold it, just how it says to do it, and you're going to lay it with the zipper touching and folding it like that. And then you're going to do a top stitch along the edge to make sure that you get the zipper completely in there. You're going to do that, and then I'll be right back. So now that you got this side sewn on, you're going to measure what it says to measure in your instructions, and you are going to pull the zipper halfway, wherever you feel fit that you'll be safe to do it. And then you are going to measure how much it tells you to, and you're going to cut the extra zipper off and add this side to the other one. Okay, so I will do that. All right, so now that it's cut, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm gonna fold this in on itself, just like that. And then you are going to, you can zip up your zipper a little bit, just don't let it go off the zipper. You're gonna put that in just like we did the other side. Okay, and then you're going to top stitch right here. So that way you do that, and we'll be right back. Okay, now that you have that done, you can trim off the extra fabric on both ends of the zipper. All right, and now we're gonna go ahead and set that aside for now. And then we are gonna go on to the main part of the outside of the wallet. So here are your 2 outside fabrics. You are going to take one, and you are going to cut it down how the directions tell you to do it. This is going to be the front pocket of your wallet. This is the top, this is the bottom. You're gonna take the next piece that coordinates with this one. It'll say in your instructions which one it is. And you're going to take your other zipper with your zipper pulled to the right. You are going to lay down your inside lining fabric, the one that is stated in the instructions, with the right sides of this one. Line everything up. Clip or pin, however you prefer to do your choice. Okay, just like that. If you like it to be a little bit snug like I do, you can always put one at the bottom to keep it from shifting. Okay, so now you're going to sew your zipper with your lining fabric and your outer fabric together along that line. Okay, once you have sewn it, you're going to finger press, or you can use your magic seam wand and press it away from the zipper. Again, the same thing with the outside. You can go ahead and line up the fabric, and you are going to finger press, or again, however you choose, you can do it either way. And now what you are going to do is you are going to do a top stitch on the very top of this bottom part of the front pocket of your wallet. All right, and then now we are going to put the top part of the zipper of the wallet pocket on the zipper. And then you're going to take the other remaining smaller cut lining fabric, and you are going to put that on the other side of the wallet. You're going to line everything up again, just as before. And if you're like me, you want to keep it nice and secure, you can put it clips at the bottom of the wallet. Okay. So we're going to make sure everything is lined up where it needs to be. And then again, you are going to zipper with the right sides facing down. You're going to put it on top, line it all up. You're going to stitch across the zipper, and then we'll go into the next step. Now that you did that with the extra pocket backing, you are going to flip it over. You are not going to push this one away. This is going to stay right here, okay? The only thing you're flipping over is the top part, just like that. And again, you can finger press, or you can use your magic seam wand, and then you are going to top stitch, again, just this top part, this bottom piece staying flat. Okay, and for the next part, you are going to do a base stitch down the bottom of both sides, starting at the zipper going down. And then we'll go on to the next step. So just go ahead and base stitch both sides, and then we'll go on to the next. Now that you have the sides basted down, we're going to set this aside as well and start working on the inside of the wallet. And another thing to know, do not trim the sides yet of the zipper that we just did on the front pocket. And now we're going to work, I'm sorry, not on the lining. We are going to work on the outside pocket first before we get to the lining. All right, now that this is done, do not trim the excess of the zipper just yet. You're going to hold off on that, okay? We are going to set this aside with the zipper that we've done earlier, and we are going to work on the back of the outside of the wallet. You are going to take the piece that indicates for the outside wallet, and you are going to fold it in half, lengthwise. And you are going to put a top stitch at the very top of this, and we'll go on to next. Now that I got my top stitch on the back pocket, we are going to base stitch it to the back of the fabric of the outside of the wallet. You want to make sure everything's even, pin or clip, however you prefer, and you are going to base stitch. I would base stitch the outside of it just because it's going to get sewn all together, so you want to make sure that the pocket, just where the pocket is all sewn up. Okay, so now that the outside pocket is done, we are going to go and move on to the next one, which is the tab for your hook. And we are going to fold this in half. And then again towards the middle on each side. And now we're going to go and sew down each end. Okay, to clarify, you're going to sew down each long side, okay? And then you're going to take your D-ring and you're going to slip it through. And then you are going to base stitch it together, and then we'll set this aside and go on. Alright, and for this part you are going to need the long inside lining piece, and what we are going to do is we are going to fold it right sides together. And then you are going to, where the flap is at, or the opening is at, you are going to mark 2 inches in the middle, because that's going to be where you turn this inside out. Okay, and now what you are going to do is you're going to sew down each end, and then you are going to do a stitch where you go to the line. Make sure you back stitch at the marks, because this is where you're going to turn your fabric inside, from the inside out. You are also going to use the 1/4 seam allowance on your stitch. Right, so now that I have sewn the edges and have done where my lines are, I'm going to clip my corners. And I'm going to turn it inside, outside, right. Inside out, right side, right, however you want to say it. Okay. Just like that. And then I want to get my teal thingies. And I'm going to go through and poke out all of my corners. Just like that. Okay. Make sure everything's nice and even. And then I'm going to take my iron to it to give me my crisp lines. And now you are not going to sew it. You are actually going to take one of the lining pieces that we cut, and you are going to find the middle. You can either measure it, or the way I like to do it is I just take my iron, fold 2 ends together, and voila, there is my middle. And I'm going to do the same thing with my pocket, but first you are going to top stitch the part that does not have the turning for the opening. You're going to top stitch the top of that one. Okay, now that I have my top stitch on the pocket, I am going to fold the pocket to find the middle. And then you are going to take your ruler, measure down what it says in the instructions, and mark it, or you can even lay that down. And you're going to take your pins or your clips, whichever you prefer, and you are going to clip it in place. Okay, and then now that everything's clipped and even, go ahead and stitch a top stitch around the whole edge of the pocket. Normally I would mark it, but I was feeling confident today, so on to stitch. So now the pocket has been sewn on, and what's really kind of cool is the spot that we did the turning out part, it actually got sewn up when we sewed this all together. So there is that. And now we are going to put everything together on the wallet. So you will need the zipper, the outside back, the other lining piece, and the front part of the wallet. You're going to set everything up. And again, the pull to the right. And you are going to take the lining without the pocket, and you are going to have that face up. You are going to center it in the middle of the wallet. And then you are going to take the front and again line up everything this way, and you are going to sew along the line. Make sure you pin or clip, whichever you prefer, and make sure everything stays squared up and even. Okay, so now that that is done, you're going to finger press everything away from the zipper again like you did before. Make sure everything is lining up. Okay. Finger pressing it, and now we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side of the wallet. You're going to lay your inside fabric with the pocket down first with the zipper, and then you're going to line up the back, pin or clip it, and then you're going to sew and do the same thing we just did on the other side. All right, so now that everything is sewn up together, now we are going to take the tab that we put on first, that we did, okay? And we are going to place it on the inside to the left, just above the zipper. We're gonna go ahead and base stitch that, and then we'll go on to the next step. So now that the tab is sewn on, we are now going to sew the whole way around the wallet, leaving a 3-inch at the bottom. So we'll go ahead and measure that real quick. All right, so now we are going to line up. You're lining up the lining and the outsides together, okay? And then remember to leave this inch back up, and go ahead and clip it too. All right, so once you are done sewing it, you are now going to clip the excess zipper fabric away. And this is a good time to go ahead and clip your corners of all your sides. Okay. And then you're going to turn the wallet outsides out. Okay, and then make sure your pocket is not on the same side. Your outside pocket of your wallet is on the back of your wallet, not the front of your wallet. And then you're going to go ahead and poke out all the corners. Okay, all that is done. And then you're going to sew the turning out point on the inside of the wallet. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do a top stitch along that crease. I just realized on this I put the D-ring on the wallet, and I'm pretty sure in the instructions it says to put the hook on there. Let me make sure this is right. Okay, so yeah, I did that backwards. You want to put the hook on here. To me, it doesn't really matter. I rather have the hook on the strap when I think about it, because then I can hook other stuff to it. So that being said, it should be the smaller hook on the wallet, and the D-ring will go on the other part. I will show you, but I will be using the hook. All right, and this is what the finished wallet will look like. And again, just make sure before you sew everything, make sure you poke out the corners on how much you want it to poke out. But this is the wallet, and now we'll go on to the sling. Okay, you are going to take your sling fabric and you are going to cut it to the length, and what it tells you to do. You're going to cut off the selvage end and you're going to cut it to the width that it tells you to do. Now you're going to take it and you're going to extend it by connecting these two pieces together. The way I do that is I actually take my iron, I fold it, make sure the corners all match up, and I put a nice little crease in the fabric. Then with right sides together, I'm going to make sure everything lines up just like this. I'm going to pin and clip. I clip the outsides and I pin on the inside. All right, okay, so we'll do that. Now with this pinned and clipped where I need it to go, I am going to go to my sewing machine and I'm going to sew in line right on that crease that I made in the fabric. Okay, now that I've sewn that together, I'm going to cut off the excess fabric. Make sure you are cutting the square piece that isn't connecting to your fabric. And I'm gonna line it up and cut that. And then I'm going to open this up. I'm going to iron out my seam to make sure everything lays flat. Now here you can put interfacing if you want to, but I prefer not to, only because the fabric is going to be so thick it actually stays really good together. But that's my personal preference. If you want to put the lining on there, go ahead and do that. Now you are going to fold it in half. You're going to make it like you make any other strap that the Quilted Cow has in their pattern. You are going to fold it together like this, wrong sides together, iron out a line, and then you are going to fold one side in, iron it again, fold this side in, and iron this side as well. And then you're going to sandwich them together, or bring them together, however you want to say it. So you're going to bring those two together, just like that. And then you're going to clip or pin, again, your preference, all the way down the strip. And then we'll go to the next spot after that. Once you get all of everything clipped together, now you're going to stitch down each long end. You're going to start right here. Okay, so now that you have everything, the long side stitched, you are going to cut what it says in the fabric to cut for your wristlet. Once that is done, then you are going to sit here and mark an inch on your ruler. I've already done that, so then you'll fold all this together. And then you're going to take your faux leather and your 1-inch clip, and you're going to slide that right into the middle, and just like that. And then you are going to bring it in just a little bit past the marking on there, and make sure everything is even. And then you are going to fold this up just like that. Again, make sure everything is even. And the best way to keep everything in place, as always, is to clip down your edges. Okay? And now you are going to sew and make a little square box right there. Okay? I don't know if you guys saw, but right there. Alright, so now that the wristlet is done, I'm going to set it aside and continue working on the long part of the sling. And now what you're going to do is you are going to take your sliding bar, have one end go in, one end go out, just like that. Gonna have it right there. And then you are also going to fold it about 1/2 inch inside itself, and you want to get it as close as you can to your bar, okay? And then you can clip it again. And then you are going to do 2 lines down each side to keep this in place. Okay, so now that you have sewn it, it should look like this, where you have the 2 lines together. And then you are going to take your oval hook and you're going to slip that through. Okay, then you are going to slip your strap through the very top, just like that. Make sure nothing is crossed like I just did. There we go. Okay, that should make it okay. And then you're going to slide this part again through here, just like that. And you have made your sliding part of your phone sling. Then you are going to make sure everything is lined up correctly. When you do this, you can even adjust this to make it a little bit shorter. Okay, make sure your sliding bar is facing out. You don't want the inside. You want the bar facing out. Again, measure the inch marking. Okay, you are going to take your other faux leather strap part and you're going to slide again the hook through, have it land in the middle, and again just barely go over the top of it, just so that way you know you are snagging everything in there that you need to. Okay, and then you are going to close it up, clip it. Again, I would clip, not pin, because pin will leave marks in faux leather. Okay, just like that. Make sure everything's evening up on both sides. Clip. And now you're going to do the same thing you just did to your wristlet onto this side. Okay, so now once you get that on there, you are going to measure 7 inches from the bottom of the faux leather. So with this little part right here, you are going to measure 7 inches and mark. Okay. And then you are going to take your T faux leather piece, and this is where you would actually put the D hook if you're using the D hook. Like, remember what I said earlier? I put the D hook on this one instead of the hook, but that's okay because you can still do it this way. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put this in. You fold it about 1/2 inch back onto the faux leather, so right about there. And then you are going to lay it down right at that 7 mark, and you are going to do a top stitch around that. Make sure though, make sure that you have the D-ring or hook facing down, just like that. Because if you face it the other way, it's not gonna work out the way you need it to. You need it to have it facing this way. Okay, so now that you have everything done, we'll put the sling together with your wristlet. Here is the wristlet, and you just take your little oval hook, sling it in that, just like that. And then you would take your phone, the phone piece. This would actually goes in the back of your phone case. And you would slip it through the little hole. Then you would clip everything just like this. Your phone will go there, and your wallet will hook right there. And you have made the Cassidy phone sling.